Coming at you live from my home studio in beautiful La Puente, California. This is the All Dodgers Podcast, and happy Monday to everybody. Happy Monday, especially to the National League champion Dodgers. On today's show, we're talking back. We're looking all the way back about 20-ish hours ago at that Dodgers championship, NLCS win. There it is, championship series win over the Mets. How do we feel about it now? Are there any things that are popped up in our brain about that win? We'll have some fun with it. There's also some Dodgers news and injury updates. We got to talk Alex Vesia, Brusdar, Graterol. Maybe they are on the table for the World Series. We got some voicemails in here, and we wonder, how do our Dodgers stack up against the Yankees? We'll be talking about all that and more in another edition of All Dodgers Live. There's my man. You see him there at the kids' table. The man, the myth, the legend, Producer Kevin at Skinner7Kevin on the Twitter. Give him a follow if you haven't already. I'm RealFRG on the Twitter, on the Instagram. Give me a follow if you have not already. And Kevin, I haven't seen you. I haven't heard from you since the great thing happened yesterday. Give us some initial reactions to the Game 6 victory for your boys in blue.
It felt great.
Back to you in the studio.
It was great. That's all. No, it was great. It was great in the way they won. They went down early, and that's kind of been the story of this series in particular. Is like kind of whoever scores first wins. But hey, Mets scored first. Dodgers came back almost immediately. I don't know if it was bottom one. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
They scored two. So I like the way that which they won. And obviously, being in the World Series is just so much better than not being in the World Series. Hot take.
Hot take.
So no, I'm excited.
Let's go. Hey, look, we got some big stuff here in the chat. Let's fire up the chat here. By the way, guys, sound off in the comments. Let us know where you're watching the show tonight. If you're watching us in Monday Night Football at the same time, let us know your Dodgers World Series predictions and all that kind of stuff. But guys, shout out Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Joined the YouTube members here, member for a month, and also said Dodgers in 4 versus the Yankees. Dave Roberts, MVP. Oh, Dave Roberts fire, and then MVP is going to be Tommy Edmond. Thank you for joining the channel there, Daniel. Channel. Appreciate you hanging out. I see my guy Matt in the chat. I see Christopher in the chat, Metabolic Holic, Goat Yachty. I already said Matt, Kenny Chung, Neil Casimoto, a bunch of people in here. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Badan Coase. But yeah, find some comments you like as well, and then we'll keep this wagon train moving, guys. And also hit that subscribe button if you wouldn't mind, if you're not subscribed already.
I like Michelada Poppy. I'm too hungover. I called out for the next 2 weeks. Just kidding. I don't have a job. Dodgers.
That's worth
fantastic.
And so how you get fired on your day off?
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, see, there was the Josh Gitt. Mario asking Kenny Chung, we still rocking that Bueller jersey, a little more proud now. I know my guy right there rocks that Bueller jersey. Maybe game one pitcher for the Dodgers, maybe. It'd be a long time if he's waiting out till Game 3 of the series in New York, but we're not there yet. We'll talk more Dodgers-Yankees in just a little bit. Want to get some more comments in here, and I want to get the ad out of the way, and then I want to talk more about what happened yesterday. So find a couple of comments, and then we'll keep trudging forward.
Christopher, season has been a season of breaking trends, beating the NLDS divisional opponent, winning Game 5 at home, clinching at Dodger Stadium, breaking streak to beat Brewers' pennant streak. That's pretty funny. But the one trend that could remain is this may or may not be the 5th year in a row that a Will Smith has won the World Series, which would be pretty funny.
I'm really hoping for it. Hey, listen, I would love to see our Will Smith bookending that. That'd be real nice. Maybe not even bookending it. You could have 2 bookends on one side if we do 24, 25, because I'm not talking a repeat, a 3-peat, or even a 4-peat. We're talking minimum 8 Pete right here. Michelada Poppy, by the way, says Ohtani MVP. Not a bad pick.
Nope. Not short porch. There's that shit. That chance.
Sir. Kenny Chung checking in from Torrance. I see a Lawndale in the chat here with Craig. Jenny checking in from Oakland. People all around. Jenny saying subscribe. Guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Trying to get to 8,000 subscribers, just past 7,500 a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago, whatever it was. Appreciate you guys because, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, literally can't do it without you because we're not going to make that many accounts to subscribe to this channel or on on our own. But before we get into more of it and look back 20-ish, hours ago, actually, I want to do this screen right here. Bet Online. I got to tell you about Bet Online because it's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything sports betting. And it's a good time right now to bet on the World Series, because it's like here, it's going to be here. I was going to say, because guess what? But I just combined it into 3 words. I'm having my own personal buffering issues, but not at Bet Online. They're good. They got every stat, matchup breakdowns, even live odds and spreads to bet on during games. They have the largest catalog of odds and everything. If you're watching football, if you're watching these playoffs, the World Series, that fall classic, NHL, NBA, political props, you got a couple weeks left of that, and then probably weeks after that of more pain. But even so, if the game's over, head on over to their online casino. Get in on a game of blackjack. There's poker there, and there's over 150 slot games available for you to play. So head to the website today. Get in on the action. Bet online. The game starts here. And yeah, let's move back a few hours. About 20-ish. I'm going with 20-ish. I didn't bother to do the math and the time of it, but Dodgers brought home the NL pennant. First one since 2020. How are we feeling, and what are some honest concerns with this team heading into the World Series? Because the reason I decided to settle in on the idea of the 20-ish hours since, there were some moments in yesterday's game that could have gotten away. That very much could have, if little things break a little bit different for the Mets. You're in a bad spot. You're going to be having a bad time as a Los Angeles Dodger fan. We're watching baseball right about now. But, Kev, give me something you liked out of this entire series. Like, if you have something that's super top of mind, something you liked, and then we also got, something that impressed us the most with this team. I
think one thing that, Mets fans aren't, they're already pissed because the Dodgers so quote-unquote punted 2 games in the series. I like that, kind of piggybacking on that. The games it felt like the Dodgers really wanted to win, they won. We can talk about Game 5. They weren't really settling in. They just kind of let Jack Flaherty wear it. The Game 2, bullpen / Landon Knack game, they kind of did punt those. But the games where they saw an opportunity, knew that they had their best chance, they won. And they did it without the likes of Freddie Freeman or Miguel Rojas.
That is impressive, yeah.
So that's those are some takeaways for me. That hey, we can still beat quality teams with a one-legged Freddie or not Freddie at all.
Yeah. I think the fact that this team has been able to survive without Freddie in 3 games. I've talked about it a lot over the last 24-ish hours or so. I like the way they all kind of putting each other on each other's back, and if one guy's down, the next guy's coming to pick them up. We're seeing that with Max Muncy, sliding across the diamond. That is something that impresses me. He's been, pretty flawless over there. There was in that first inning a little bit of a cringe moment, because it felt a whole lot like Jace Peterson at 2021 that ruined and took away Max Muncy from the postseason. Thankfully, nothing bad. I wish, maybe CT3 should have pocketed that throw a little bit there, but does not matter. The Dodgers go on and win that game. But the things I like from the Dodgers in this series, they just kept chipping away. It wasn't us sitting around waiting for a big homer or waiting for just Shohei to do something or Mookie. Everybody got involved. They're up and down the lineup, 1 through 9, 1 through 10 or 12 in on the bench. They got in. Everybody but Austin Barnes played a role for this Dodgers team. Even Will Smith getting, hopefully off the schneid. Teoscar Hernandez pretty absent in the series until yesterday. But I already said Shohei, Mookie in there. Of course, our MVP, World Series, hopefully MVP as well, Tommy Edman. Kike doing things, even Chris Taylor chipping in. Can we disagree that Chris Taylor is at his best when he's not making good contact? He is the ultimate barrels are overrated guy. I hate it when he finds good wood because he just lines into outs. But That's what I like. I like that it wasn't just, all right, we scored all of our points here in the first or third inning and that's it. No, you're putting up runs in the first, in the third, in the fourth, in the sixth, all up and down the series. They never stopped scoring, even last night, into the bottom of the eighth, scoring more runs. That's how you win ball games, and that's how you effectively destroy that other team's morale, because there's no opportunity for them to come back.
Yep, absolutely. The team kind of took on the mentality of like Dave's mentality. He wasn't messing around. Michael Kopech opened the game. He was effectively wild for the most part. But
Man,
at every chance, Dave did not let the Mets really get off the mat, and it felt like the offense did too. I mean, even in Flaherty's game, you get a couple swings to go your way, they're still in the game, and maybe Dave does go to a leverage spot or a leverage guy just to try and steal it in New York and not have to come all the way back to Los Angeles. But hey, winning in front of the fans was pretty awesome. So it seems like the offense really took on that mentality, and that's good because we have seen at times, they put up a crooked number in the second inning and then, get retired for the next 14 guys in a row go down in order. And it's like, well, okay, the momentum can't just stop.
No,
you gotta keep, at least stress the pitcher out a little bit.
Keep applying the pressure. That is what you got to be able to keep doing. And this is what this particular team is doing that we haven't seen teams maybe even since 17. I think 17 they were scoring some runs. You can look to game 4 as a particular game where there was a lot of runs scored. They can score. They could put up runs at a prolific rate if they wanted to. It was a team that was pretty reliant on some slug as well. But this one, that's not their game, and we know, I've said it time and time again here on the internet, we know that game, the slug game, does not play up at Dodger Stadium in the early parts of fall. It just does not work. A few comments in here. Robert talking about 45 runs in the LCS is just too sweet. Could not agree more. Kenny Chung and a few other people are looking ahead to the game 1 starter. Yamamoto is on the table. That's a good thing too, that everybody is on the table at this moment, because Flaherty would be a week rest, and Buehler it would be like 9 days rest, and I think Yamamoto's at 10 or 11. So very, very well rested. And if you like a lot of people, I hope, have seen the Max Muncy interview that he did with Dave Vassegh yesterday. One of the things Muncy said is, it's like, we're looking at this time off as a reward, not trying to figure out how to navigate it. Like, we're here, we're hanging with the boys, we're having a good time, we're getting our work in, but we're staying ready. We're staying ready the way we need to be staying ready. And we've seen that. We've seen that so far this October for sure. Mario wants to see Buehler in game 2. Sarah Morris looking at things you like in this series, the starting rotation, the health of Freddie Freeman, or maybe that's the concerns. The Mets couldn't locate the strike zone there. You take advantage. And I think the Yankees are one of those teams as well. They got some guys that are a little effectively wild at times. We'll talk more about that later on in the episode, so guys, stay tuned. But if you have one thing, or if I have one thing that impressed me the most, though, it's the bullpen. How many innings they had to pick up. I don't want to dive too much into this because I do want to talk concerns. I think that's a little more important right now. But the bullpen, so many dudes outside of Landon Neck, so many dudes stepped in, and played just their role perfectly, even if I'm about to mention bullpen guys in my honest concerns. But anything to add on the bullpen side of things?
No, just this is probably the best bullpen top to bottom I've seen out of this team in a very, very, very long time, if not ever. I get Landon Knack, had his problems, he had his issues, but at the same time, if they're relying on every bullpen's got a guy that you really just don't want to see, but he needs to be there just because they have the roster spot. That's fine. If it's Landon Knack, it's Landon Knack, and it's better, that than some of the other guys that we've thrown in bullpens past. So.
Yeah, I mean, some people might argue, and we're going to talk a little bit about, what the roster could look like, because you can change the roster here heading into the World Series, what the roster could look like and where Alex Vesia slots in and all that, if he can slot back in. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but you can argue there's a few of those guys who maybe they should be more on the outside looking in, but they played big roles. Less so Knack, but you're looking at Ben Kasparius, you're looking at Brent Honeywell, what's his name, Turtleneck and Chain, how important he was in this series. The as Dave Vesia called him, the underdog MVP. But if we are kind of looking at some honest concerns from that game, and from yesterday's game and from the series in general, as I see Diane is in the chat, so thanks for hanging out with us, Diane. I see Borat Otani, Los Dodgers, my bad, in the chat. Speederbuilt in the chat. Mike Saldana, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. But there was a lot of near damage in yesterday's game. Ryan Brazier, you wonder if he's kind of hit a little bit of a brick wall. And he was somebody also, the very early throws of the season, you were kind of concerned about what you were getting out of Ryan Brazier. Evan Phillips loaded the bases. Thankfully he's able to escape. Anthony Bonda, he's doing a great job, but still he's not Alex Vesia, and you desperately need a second lefty against the Yankees coming up. And again, we'll dive a whole lot into that in maybe about a half an hour, so stay tuned. But if I'm looking at concerns, in another potentially long series, and I'll spoil it now by saying I got Dodgers in 5 in this one. I think that's what I said. And I also said on Dodgers territory earlier. No, I said on ESPN earlier. I don't know how much I believe it, but I'm sticking with Dodgers in 5 because I said it after the game yesterday. This is a back-to-back long series. You can get exposed. So the bullpen is still where I have a little bit of concern, and that's when you're still looking at Freddie. You don't know how much he's playing, and yada, yada. You don't know where Miguel Rojas slots in, if at all. But it's still the bullpen, the pitching. This is the pain point you have of only having 3 starters.
Yeah, and I think they've done a good job. It's been pretty obviously the emphasis of making sure that bullpen guys don't see certain lanes in the opposing team's lineup. So, I'm sure they'll be conscious of that. How many times is Treinen or Kopech really going to see the top of the Yankees order? It might not be that many times. They might still might want an Evan Phillips or a Anthony Banda because they have some lefties up there, or one lefty really. So I get it. They'll work around it. I think my biggest concern more than anything is just the Dodgers haven't played a team like this before. The Yankees role players are good, but it's really the meat of that order. It's, yeah. Giancarlo Stanton, who is tearing the cover off the ball. It's Juan Soto.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge has been middling, but it's still Aaron Judge.
He still looms.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, we saw, I think it was game 5 of the NLDS, Manny Machado hit a couple balls to the warning track. In New York, that ball's gone.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where I get worried is some of these fly balls, in the Walker Buehler start, he had a couple early outs that went deep. Those balls are probably gone against this Yankees lineup. And that's what worries me. I think to sum it up in a bow is you can't let, their 2, 3, and 4 hitter that's going to be Soto, Judge, Stanton. You can't let them beat you. You've got to either get them out or just make sure that they stay solo shots, if anything. Because if Giancarlo unloads a 3-run homer in the Bronx, it's just, we'll see you tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's it's a really good point. That's echoing something too. Steven Nelson joined us today on Dodgers territory, and he was talking about one of his bigger concerns heading into the series. It's the homer ball, and like you said, it's not a very pitcher-friendly park there, especially to right field, that short porch at Yankee Stadium. Aaron Edick bringing up the point in the chat. Look out for Alex. Doogie really does want to be able to beat these Dodgers, and he would love to, pull the rug out from under them. Yeah, he's been good historically against the Dodgers in a small sample size, but nothing to it but to do it. So we'll see what happens, and we have a lot more World Series preview stuff coming up this week, as does everybody here on the internet. We're hardly the only ones talking about this, of course. But
what? There aren't other shows.
That's crazy. No, all right. What a weird time. I remember an era where I was one of two people doing this. Exactly. But guys, let's look at something that could help the Dodgers. And I'm saying I have some worries about the bullpen situation or about the pitching staff. And you guys see the number on the screen there. Call in if you have concerns. 562-373-4095. Call in if you have some congratulations for the Dodgers. We'll have the voicemail hotline popping up in just a little bit. But if we're looking ahead and looking at this next few days, 4 days now for the Dodgers, they're very, very important because reinforcements could be on the way in time for the World Series because a slightly inebriated Andrew Friedman last night gave us a bit of a window into where Alex Vesia and Brusdar Graterol are, and didn't say very much outside of they're hoping they can be back. They're hoping they can be ready for the World Series. The Graterol one is a little more surprising. I haven't seen anything about like a Joe Kelly situation, but to me, the most important one, and we'll talk more about this later on in the show, the most important one is Alex Vesia, because you can't get away with one lefty, in my opinion, against this Yankees lineup that does have Soto, Anthony Rizzo, Alex Verdugo. There's another name in there that...
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. So you got some pieces. So again, Andrew says maybe. That's the hope, and how important those guys are, and also more importantly, I feel like the vibes down in the bullpen right now going through that NLCS, they're at an all-time high, even with some of the struggle points. Dan Hudson's another one of those guys. Maybe you need to have in that Ryan Brazier conversation as well. But if we're looking Vesia, and we're looking potentially a Graterol, like what are the roster moves? Is it Henriquez? Is Brazier in the conversation? I can't imagine Honeywell being off of this roster. Plus, as we talked about heading into the NLCS, he's been very, very good against left-handed batters this season. Like, how do you think this plays out? Or do you think maybe the worst of the worst happens and Vesia and Kelly and Graterol are just not available?
I would be pretty surprised if Vesia specifically makes it back, because I think he's dealing with a shoulder issue.
They had the oblique thing. Vesia did.
He's got a what?
He had the intercostal, the oblique
thing. Oh, that's
thing.
right.
Yeah.
No, so Graterol has
the shoulder.
Sorry.
And
yes.
Joe Kelly.
Yeah, so I would be surprised, if Graterol makes it back. If Vesia can make it back, I think the easy move is just Nat gets left off the roster. I think you just do a 1-for-1 switch there. I can't see them leaving off of Ryan Brazier. He has shown flashes of still being good, even if it hasn't been lately. Brent Honeywell and Ben Kasperius can basically be the two long men if you need them. And again, both guys, Kasperius' stuff is nasty, and Honeywell can just give you 4 innings of 3-run ball, and you're like, all right, cool, thanks, man. Here's your paycheck. So, I think with Knack, though, you can get worried because if he doesn't have it, it's all over. You're lucky to get out of an inning, whereas Honeywell can survive, or at least he's shown that he can at least give you some length.
Yeah.
If they're both, if both Graterol and Vesia can make it back on the roster, I think Knack is like I said, Knack's the easy one. And from there, I think it might be, I don't think it's a Hudson because he's kind of the leader of that bullpen. Yeah. Maybe they do have that Brazier conversation because I think Ben Kasperius is really impressed, and I think he's impressed more than just fans. I think he's really impressed his front office to show that, because that strikeout stuff is real. That slider is nasty. That velo plays. So I think he's moved up the pecking order, and maybe it is a Brazier because that fly ball that he can give up, like I said, that's gone against a lot of these hitters, and you don't really trust him against a lot of the hitters in that lineup. So.
Yeah. BP.
Enriquez, maybe Enriquez is out. I don't know. 102 is 102.
Yeah, but if you can't locate it, I think the Yankees are a team. The Yankees are a team that could earn their walks against somebody like an Henriquez, and then innings and games can get away from you really, really quick if you have to bring somebody in who's not ready and the bases are loaded and there's only one out and our pets' heads are falling off and all that. Henriquez, as much as I do love 102, 1,000%, you love 102. And as much as I do have concerns about how little we've seen Brusdar Graterol this year, when we have seen him, he's been Brusdar of old, if not better, because I think even the punch was getting a little bit better this year in terms of his strikeout stuff. That's probably like the one move I would make. I would swap, somebody who's been there, done that in the biggest stage here. If we're talking about the World Series, Brusdar Graterol got some big outs for this team in a World Series run in 2020. So you take that veteran, and as Dave likes to say, you bet on the guy. You bet on Brusdar to come back and be a difference maker. And again, we don't know. We're going to find out more tomorrow. Today is a day off for the team. Then we'll start to get more of the questions and media going and all this kind of stuff again over the next few days, and we'll find out more about Vesia. I think that's going to be the name that's at the top of the list for everybody, as it should be, because again, those lefties in that Yankees lineup are people you really do need to watch out for. But if you can get Graterol back, I happily do that Henriquez swap. And if something goes wrong or if he gets injured again, you could bring him back. It's not like you can't. That's not a thing, right? Unless I'm misremembering this. If you take somebody off a roster that's like during a series, that's when they're not eligible to come back. But if he's not
Correct.
on that active roster heading into the World Series, then okay. So I want to make sure I got that right. I haven't been drinking tonight, so it's a problem.
Yeah, just to piggyback what you said, the Yankees, they walk the most in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
They have the highest walk percentage at 10.8%. Dodgers, for reference, are third on the list at 9.6%. I've got to be honest, though. I think that number's a little skewed because of the Soto Judge effect. Judge gets walked a lot because he's Aaron freaking Judge. And Soto's just nasty. He's got incredible plate discipline for a guy who's 25 years old, by the way. So I wonder how much that's skewed. I would like to see like what the other guys in the lineup. I'm kind of like running through their roster right now. Like Stanton's like league average walk wise.
Yeah, he's up there just to absolutely destroy a baseball, as we well know. And we've seen, I was there when he hit the baseball out of Dodger Stadium. It was an impressive sight to see. And as good as the Dodgers bullpen has been, they don't necessarily always have that punch that we've seen this bullpen have in the past. So you mentioned Kasparius, and I've looked at him as somebody that was like hugely important in yesterday's game and kind of resetting the bullpen, picking up those two big innings after Kopech, because I'm pretty sure Kopech was supposed to take down two to open the game. It didn't work out that way. But the way I look at Kasparius, he's kind of like he's the not to be rude about it, it's just a funny way of saying it, but he's like the Wish.com River Ryan for this team. Like, this is what they have left. And he's also very, very good. You can get some good things on Wish.com, or maybe it's Woot, which is a subsidiary or whatever of Amazon. I don't want to get into all the politics of this, but I like Ben Kasparius is the point. So if they have some tough conversations, it's a good problem to have, and we love good problems to have for this Dodgers team. But the Freddie Freeman thing, we got to talk Freddie if we're talking injuries, as we got a $10 super chat in here. Thank you very much from our friend Ivy Strokin. Finally got to meet him in the flesh, people, yesterday. Says, shout out to Richard Flores and fam for hosting us, where once again Clint Nation was live to witness history as Ohtani makes his first of many World Series appearances in Dodger Blue. Appreciate IB Strokin for the super chat. That was a lot of fun. Of course, some people might have watched it yesterday here on the channel. Did a kind of impromptu watch party, working with what we had at Richie Flores' house. He was kind enough to open it up to some local folks. Couldn't have everybody in the chat at his house, but him and his wife and his mom was there. They're all just wonderful people, and we appreciate them welcoming us into the home. And I finally got to see the man cave, Kev. I finally got to see the man cave.
Impressive.
His kitchen is also very nice. You would be happy. Great set for you. It's a great set. Oh man, but that's what we got. Freddie Freeman. He needs to be a factor in this series. If we're getting back for a second, I don't imagine we see Miguel Rojas, just because I don't think you can have two injured dudes on the roster. Two limited guys.
Yeah, you can't have two limited guys. And I don't know who you take off. Where would he even?
Give me Kiermaier in the outfield.
Give me Kiermaier in the outfield, and I'll take Tommy Edman all day at short. He's bobbled a couple balls, but the stuff he can still do is pretty incredible. So I don't know where Miggy's spot on the roster would be, or where he'd even get playing time. It feels like it'd just kind of be a like it would just be
he's
we're
doing,
giving you a spot because you were here the whole year.
Yeah, he's doing fine playing his little coaching role. I think he's even kind of resigned himself to the fact, and that's fine. That's an important piece, especially for this team. Yeah, you got to have that captain there in the clubhouse.
Exactly, and Kike's playing great. I don't think you want to take at bats away from Kike right now.
And you can't move Tommy Edman out of that cleanup spot.
You can't move Tommy Edman. I mean, you could, but like, I don't really want to give Chris Taylor more at bats than I have to. Andy Pages has looked okay.
That's the biggest problem.
We
should see a lot more Lux in this series, by the way, because they only have Carlos Rodon as their lefty starter. So should not see a whole lot of Chris Taylor. But hey, you know what? Yeah. CT's getting his knocks, man. He's doing little things to help the team out.
Down bunts.
One of the worst bunts you're going to see there. It should have been an out, but thankfully he bunted it smartly to the worst defender on the Mets infield, Pete Alonso, and it worked out for him. Where did I see? Go ahead.
I think Pete Alonso, had a little something else, because there were some plays he was making that I was like, I didn't realize that was even in there, because everybody I talked to is like, he's pretty terrible defensively, and he's making diving stops, good flips, catches at the net. I'm like, where the hell? I thought this guy was bad.
Yeah, I mean, it looks a little janky sometimes for sure. What did I see? I saw Matty Man 5 Dodge says Freddie not playing is a good luck charm. I think Freddie playing sporadically is more of the good luck charm. I fully expect him in there in game one. I don't think there's a chance in hell he's not in the starting lineup in game one. Considering game two is here in LA on the Saturday, I think he'll probably be in there, and then maybe, unless it's Rodon, I don't know what the numbers are. We got to look at that. This is the very early World Series primer, so we don't have all the numbers ready to go with that one. But Freddie's going to do what he can to be in that lineup to save us all from Chris Taylor getting more ABs in there. What did I see? I saw one more I wanted to touch on before we move on. Aaron Eddick giving some love to Taylor. He did hit 300 in that NLCS. They weren't very hard hit a lot of the time, but
and
knocks. Holy shit!
Oh my goodness!
That's 1,000% the wrong button. our dear friend here on the internet, the Right Field Pavilion, a $100 super chat. My God, thank you much. You know what? I feel like I got to go to the bottle here. But he said, here's 10% towards game one ticket in the nosebleeds, or just buy good booze and watch the World Series at home. Happy belated birthday. Thank you very much to Right Field Pavilion. You're fucking amazing. You are one of the many great people here on the internet. But I say to you, sir, I say cheers. I'll crack open the bottle that was refilled with rum, because that's what I had at the time, and it fits the shirt. It fits the Jim Beam shirt.
While you're taking a swig of that, I just did a quick look up. Carlos Rodon has a 295 FIP against left-handed hitters, and it's like roughly a 640 OPS against left-handed hitters, and that jumps up to 750 against right-handed hitters, and a 472 FIP against right-handed hitters. So he's much better against left-handed hitters than he is right-handed hitters.
So Chris Taylor will be in the lineup in game two, is what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
That's what he's here for. That's
why he's there, guys.
Let's pause for a second to just generally again thank Right Field Pavilion for the super chat. Also, Ivy Strokin for the super chat earlier in the show. If you guys aren't as rich and powerful as these two people, and you're looking for a different way to support the show, besides just hitting that subscribe button, which is a great way to support the channel, giving the video a thumbs up helps us out here on the YouTube algorithm. But beyond that, we do have Patreon set up, patreon.com/realfrg, or YouTube members, as we saw somebody join us earlier in the chat. I'm sorry, I forgot the name. That is my bad. Oh, Daniel Barry Sports. I think re-upping here. So it's $5 a month to help support the channel on either of those platforms. And with either of those platforms, you buy one and you could join us in the Discord where we're talking Dodger baseball. I've been a little MIA in the Discord of late because I've been busy firing off a lot of shows, a lot of content, going to Richie's, setting up 2 different variations of a live stream and all this kind of stuff. But I promise I'll be more around during the World Series. And what better time to sign up to talk to friends during then in the World Series. So check those out. Less than the price of a Dodger dog at Dodger Stadium. You could join us talking Dodger baseball with a bunch of friends and support independent Dodgers coverage, which hopefully some folks appreciate that way. But again, if you can't do that, hitting that subscribe really does help out the channel as well. I think we should listen to some voicemails. What do you think?
Let's do it. Let's fire them off.
I really need to change the screen now just to say Dodgers thoughts, because not always overreactions. But we got a few in here. If you guys want to call in as well during the show, we got a little bit of time here today. But let's listen to, it looks like the first time call from, maybe I think it's the first time, from Josh Gitt calling in. Let's fire it up.
Hey guys, hey Clint, it's Josh Gitt, friend of the show. I'm still hungover from last night, but it was very well worth it. How about those boys in blue, man? I got to tell you, I am very proud of this team. Win or lose, no matter what happens in the World Series, I am so proud of this team and what they've been able to overcome. They've overcome a lot of adversity, and they've overcome a lot of injuries to their pitching staff. But more importantly, this team seems together, and they seem to be playing for one another and for each other, as Max Muncy, I think, alluded to in his interview with David Vesia. By the way, that is an all-time interview with Muncy, Honeywell, and Vesia. That was an all-timer right there. I first want to give a shout-out to Ben Kasperius. I used to think Walker Buehler had the biggest brass in the city of Los Angeles. I think that's now Kasperius. He gave the bullpen a much-needed boost with those 4 outs, and they needed it. But the way the Mets were swinging the bats last night, that could have gotten dicey if Kasperius didn't get the job done. So major shout-out to him for biggest outing of his life, and he delivered. As far as this World Series goes, the Yankees are a good team. Giancarlo's swinging a hot bat. I think this is the best he's looked since he's gone to the Bronx. Soto looks good, and he wants to cash in another World Series ring at the age of 25. It's ridiculous that he's even that young. Before he cashes in on a big contract, which just might go to $800 million. We'll see. But I like this Dodger team. I think they've got a deeper lineup. And I think their bullpen, even though they may not be as good as Cleveland's bullpen, who the Yankees beat up, they're bullies, and they're going to give them different looks. Like whoever pitches the 9th inning in one game will not pitch the 9th inning in a different game. They're going to give them different looks. It'll be a hard-fought series. The Yankees are a good team, but I think the Dodgers are equipped to handle them, and I think they'll beat them. I got Dodgers in 6. And in the words of our good friend Richard, fuck the Dodger Stadium parking lot. See you all later. Go Dodgers.
Great call there from the man, Josh Gitt.
Scott Frank McCourt hates this podcast.
You know what? That should be a shirt as well. That needs to be a shirt. Cooper, we need to talk. We need to make the shirt thing happen. My bad. I severely dropped the ball with my friend Cooper Neal, but that's a shirt. Frank McCourt hates all Dodgers podcasts. I mean, you sell like 15 shirts right there alone. A couple things I wanted to dive into there. I fully agree with the love with Benny Caps, Casper coming in, resetting order, like I just said a couple minutes ago, and you mentioned too the strikeout stuff. At this point, I think you need him on this roster because you can get 1, you can get 3, you can get 2 innings, whatever the hell you need out of him. 1 being 1 batter, 3 batters, whatever it is. I think his ability to punch at Yankee Stadium plays up, and that's a very key. I would take him over Ryan Brazier on this roster at this point.
Yeah. The contact can be loud. He walks a little bit more than Brazier does, but like I said, if Brazier's going to give up a fly ball, it's gone, especially if he's facing 2, 3, and 4 in that lineup. So I think the flexibility of Kasperius has really earned him a roster spot. because like you said, he can go 1, he can go or 3. It really reminds me of like an early Dustin May. It's, you know, they as a starter, but also like we could just throw him for like 1 inning and see how he does. So I like having that, you know, Andrew Friedman's favorite term, optionality.
Yeah, give this man for the first time ever. I want Dave Roberts to have some optionality because he's pulling the right levers, as we've said a time or two so far. Another thing amongst the great things that Josh said there. Listen, I'm not ready to explore this too much, but I do wonder how we'd feel with this season as a whole if they can't beat the Yankees. You know, like the Mets can hold their heads high. I think for the Mets, it was a very, very good season. If the Dodgers were to get this far and all these moments, all these dudes, all these vibes and all that kind of shit, as Grayson drops a $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Grayson says, my friend and I are going to Game 6 at Dodger Stadium, accepting GoFundMe requests, and $3,000 later. It might have to sell a kidney. Well, that just means you get drunk faster if you sell a kidney. But appreciate Grayson for dropping a super chat, and I will have a shot in his honor. But yeah, like, I don't even want to explore talking about that because this feels like we're setting ourselves up for the potential of not winning this series. But there's still a lot to be proud of with this team, but job not finished.
Nope.
Job is not finished.
It would feel a lot more like 17 than 18.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about this before, but 18, we kind of all were just wondering when the Red Sox would win. 17, the team was close. You know, that one stung a lot. It was harder to get over. And then of course everything came out, but that's besides the point. That one, it would take a while to get over this. I gotta be honest though, if a team's gonna knock us out, I don't think there's a single team I'd rather it be than the Yankees because their roster is so good. They're not, you know,
at least it's
some like devil pact.
At least it's the top 2 seeds in each league. It's 1 and 2. Like, this is what you hoped for. This is what everybody in baseball hoped for. Not Texas Rangers and Arizona Diamondbacks with very, due little respect or whatever. This is what people wanted. 43 years in the making to see this series happen again. And I think everybody's going to be soaking it up. And in about, 4 days and change or whatever, that's about time we start tearing our hair out and, questioning everything. And some of it will be for cereal for sure. But another voicemail to throw out there from our friend, the great Noah, as you know. So let's hear what Noah has to say following a Game 6 victory.
Well, what up, everyone? It's Noah, as you know. And I got to say, guys, I am so glad there's not a Game 7. It was a great time. I am very proud to be a Dodger fan. It feels like forever since we haven't been to the World Series, and it was well worth the struggle. And it was worth every bit of stressful moment. Anybody else remember Kevin Vesia and Nick Ahmed? Because, dang, those were stressful days. It was worth it, and we deserve it. And join us on Patreon, guys, and join us on Discord. We had a great time. We had a watch party. If you guys want to see how we reacted, just take a close look for yourself. And we always have a great time in the Discord. Make sure to join us. That way, if you're stressing or we're losing, you're not miserable by yourself. Because believe me, we were all stressed, especially when the bases were loaded. Thankfully, EP, the best fireman on the planet, escaped. That was an amazing game. We are going to beat the Yankees, guys, because they strike out more. The bottom of our lineup is a little deeper. And another thing is, every single person in our lineup performs. We're not relying on the stars, while the Yankees, they're relying solely on their top of their order. So we will win, guys. Don't be stressed. Just enjoy this moment and join us on Discord and Patreon, like I said already. Okay? And since I'm not stressed, no language. Have a good night.
Listen, hey, my guy Noah is a great salesman. Keep pitching that Patreon and Discord. Appreciate you. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. like my friend Doug likes to say, nothing brings us together like Dodger baseball. And watching the game with 10 of your closest internet friends in real life, it's a good time. Or with however many we have in Discord now, there's a bunch of people that have joined this month. I appreciate you guys. It's a lot of fun. Going through the ups and downs of 27 outs on each side, knowing that it's not just you that's neurotic, it's everybody. We're all neurotic during a baseball game, man. That's what's fun.
Yeah, and just ripping my hair out and.
I'm not
a good time during baseball games. Sometimes.
That's something. So I did learn that about Kevin this October. He has a hard time dealing, a little bit of a hard time dealing.
Yep. Sometimes I can't. I get a little too emotionally invested in 26 guys I've never interacted with in my entire life, so it's kind of weird.
It's sometimes the vibes may be good, sometimes the vibes may be shit. But we got one more on the old voicemail hotline, and if it's one more, that is our friend Richie Flores. So let's I left that on the scene. So guys, hit the subscribe button for Richard Flores, and let's hear what our man has to say here.
Well, Clint, happy Monday to you. And we're 4 wins away from reaching the top of the mountain. This team has been through so much. The scrutiny, the injuries, the naysayers. And I'm going to be talking directly to you, Padre fans. The display that you saw in the NLCS by both fan bases, there was one thing in common. Both fan bases stood behind their team no matter what. The Mets fans were just as enthusiastic after the first 2 losses going into Game 5, just as much as they were in the first game. And so were us Dodger fans. Both teams played with integrity. Both teams played with class. Both teams played hard. Nemo, who could barely stand and walk, but he gutsed it up. I got so much respect for him for doing that. Freddie, but finally the pain just got to be too much. And how both teams treated each other. There was no bickering. There was no fighting. Yes, there was some intensity on the field, but this is the postseason. And we showed the world how 2 titanic teams in the NLCS can treat one another, but still give the fans a great postseason experience. The Padres robbed us of that. They robbed us of any good feelings or even experiencing any of that. But at the end of the day, we have a World Series to win. And I'm telling you this, the Dodgers are better than the 1927 Yankees. And how are the Dodgers better than the 1927 Yankees? Because all those Yankees are dead. Dodgers in 6. So, fuck the Dodger Stadium parking lot. Fuck the Statue of Liberty. Fuck Times Square. And for the love of God, fuck the Ghost Runner. See ya.
Wasn't that old Michael Jordan quote? I was like, yeah, what could you beat like the 16 Warriors? He's like, yeah, in 7 games. And like, in 7 games? Well, yeah, we're 60 years old now.
Oh man, it's some good shit. I thought he was gonna say, they didn't have Tommy Edman or whatever, but his was better. His was better.
That's way better. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, we knew the biggest hurdle entering this postseason was going to be that NLDS, that first round bugaboo, playing your division opponent, your division rival once again. Maybe less so rival with the Diamondbacks last year, but once you got over that hump, like Alana says and has said a few times this postseason on Dodgers territory, once you get past them, it's not smooth sailing, but you feel a lot better about your chances with this Dodgers team. One more voicemail snuck it in during Richie's call. So let's listen to, I don't know who it is, but we'll see who it is. It might be, I think I know who it is. But let's fire it up.
Hey, Clint, Kevin, go blue.
It's Ramley Ties
Sides here. Shohei, Mookie, and the whole Dodger clan are going to be stomping through Midtown Manhattan in the Bronx like Snoop Dogg in the Dog Pound on the New York video. I'm out. Dodgers in 6.
Let's go. Hey, I do appreciate the predictions coming in on the voicemail hotline there. We got Dodgers in 6. I've got Dodgers in 5. I think Richie said Dodgers in 6 as well. Did you drop your prediction yet?
I don't no, because I haven't gotten to one yet. I'm still trying to bask in.
It's all good. It's only
there,
Monday,
and I don't.
Thursday. We'll let you get there on Thursday.
Yeah, because I also want to see what the pitching looks like who they're throwing first, and who we're gonna end up throwing, because that'll dictate a lot of what I end up thinking. Frank Age, the $5 super chat,
Let's
got
go.
a feeling the Yankees are gonna be walking a ton of our hitters. Hope so. That'd be great.
We just need the Dodgers to not be walking a bunch of theirs.
Yeah, let's stop that.
I see Aaron Eddick says 27 Yankees are all dead. That's some good stuff there. Guys, if you want to call in again, not today. I think I'll close down the voicemail hotline today, but more content coming up this week. I'm trying to line up something with a guy who is a doctor who hosts a show here on our Believe network, and we want to talk Freddie and a whole bunch of injury stuff. So I'm hoping that comes out. We're able to set something up tomorrow or Wednesday. I will keep people posted here on the channel. But for now, let's do a little bit of way too early World Series preview type stuff. How do we feel these Dodgers stack up? How do they measure up to the Yankees? And this will probably change a few times between now and game 1 and pitch 1 and the 27th out of the game. But offense, we've already talked around it a good bit. You've mentioned it. Stanton and Soto are absolutely carrying the Yankees. OPS is over 1,100 so far this postseason. Gleyber Torres, Anthony Volpe up the middle. They're contributing pretty decently on offense. Anthony Rizzo, when he's been in the lineup, it's funny. First base. You got 2 injured veteran first basemen with one guy who can't play with an ankle. The other guy's playing through broken fingers. But Rizzo, man, he's been very solid with the bat when he's in the lineup, and we know what he's done in the biggest stages, in this biggest stage in baseball in the past. You mentioned Aaron Judge, the numbers aren't there, but it's still Aaron Judge. He can run into one like nobody's business. So these are guys that that's 4 dudes you need to be extremely careful of if you're Dodgers pitchers. You got to watch out for those guys. And as I said, when you're looking at the importance of anybody coming back, whether it's Graterol or having Freddie Freeman in the lineup or whatever it is, it's Alex Vesia, in my opinion. Very firmly, it's Alex Vesia, because in that Yankees lineup, there is Juan Soto, there's Jazz Chisholm, there's an Alex Verdugo who very much wants to beat the Dodgers, and there is Anthony Rizzo. So you can't get away with one lefty like you could maybe against the Yankees. Agree, disagree? Is Vesia the most important piece to add back to that dog pound there? I saw somebody, I think it was a shirt or maybe just a hashtag that said TBD, the bullpen dogs, and I just love that so deeply because that's tomorrow's pitcher, TBD, the bullpen dogs. But yeah, Vesia, he's got to be far and away the most important guy.
Yeah, if for no other reason other than just to face Juan Soto. I guess I should lead with this. The Yankees are one of the worst teams in baseball against left-handed pitching. So it's a real shame that we don't really have a left-handed starter without, Clayton Kershaw is obviously injured, done for the year. So yeah, for that reason, I think getting Vesia back would be huge. My concern with that, though, is how healthy he will be.
That's a good point.
Because I don't even think if you get 80% of Alex Vesia, I don't know if that's going to be good enough. At that point, I think I'd rather get another reliever, even if they throw with their right hand versus their left. Because Vesia can also get pretty effectively wild if his mechanics aren't all there. So the last thing we need is for him to face the top of the lineup and, oh, whoops, he just walked Soto and Judge and Giancarlo just sent one out of the stadium. You know what I mean? I could see a world where that happens. So I think they're going to need to be really careful. And if Vesia's on the roster, I kind of need him to be 100% healthy because the last thing that needs to happen is him to be pitching hurt. No,
that's honestly a phenomenal point. I didn't really consider that because when you're saying at 100%, even that's not enough because he's somebody who pitches at 110, 115%, usually when he's on the bump. Maybe if he toned it down just a hair, he wouldn't have blown out that side celebrating that strikeout he got there. And it was a game 5, game 4, whatever it was.
4.
Still, knowing like how good he has been, I do take a reduced Vesia, and I think they be as cautious as they can with him. But the value he brings to that bullpen, the guess now you can say the veteran leadership he brings to that bullpen, and being somebody where it's not just all on Banda's shoulders, which I not to say that, Anthony Banda can't handle this. I don't know. I keep going back and forth between Banda and Banda. I heard one of the white boys in the clubhouse last night call him Banda, so I'm going to go with Banda. I'll just stick with it, even though it's Banda. To have him have a little bit of that respite, I guess we'll say. Just somebody else who can literally shoulder, left shoulder the load in that Dodger bullpen. I think that goes a decent way. And give me 90% of Vesia over, maybe over a Henriquez, who we haven't seen enough of Edgardo Henriquez. And the only reason we saw any of them is because of, the Brusdar Graterol shoulder situation that later became an injury that shut him down for the rest of the regular season.
Yeah.
Sure, man. I need to see him, and I'm really hoping they put in a lot of work. You saw, some of the suction cup spots there in with the shirt off. There, he's wearing his mask, and he's getting his work done. He's getting his treatment. They're doing everything they can with him, the same way they are with Freddie and all this. But he knows the importance his importance to this damn bullpen unit.
Definitely.
Moving on, though, you can limit runs as much as you want. You still got to put points on the board. And as good as we feel about Dodgers pitching, I've heard some people say, including I think Alana was mentioning, the Yankees have better pitching. I really do question that, because arguably they have two guys at the top. Not to say anything about what's his name, Carson Schmidt or whatever his first name is. He's been
Clark
solid. Yeah, he's been solid for them. But they're going to be riding on Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon. The big money free agents leading the way from them, a little bit like the Dodgers with Yamamoto. How much do you think the Yankees would love to have not, backed out of that Jack Flaherty deal right about now? Because he's probably starting game 1 or game 2 for the Dodgers. But when you're looking at some of that bullpen in New York, there's some spots that are exposed. There's really only been 3 guys that are solid. Old friend Tommy Kahnle has been nasty this postseason. The changeup is going just all, it's darting all over the place for him in the right way.
Doing what that changeup does.
Yeah. And longtime Dodger specialist. I don't want to call him Dodger killer, but Tim Hill, he's around, former Padre. He lives. He looks like he's done a lot of meth over the last few postseasons or seasons since we've seen him. Luke Weaver's having a really nice postseason for them. But if I'm looking, 1 through 12, 1 through 13 between these two, pitching units or whatever you want to call it, the pitching staffs, I don't know if I'm being a homer about it. I really like the Dodgers over the Yankees in terms of just the numbers and the stuff and all that, what we've seen so far this postseason, and then just purely looking at Yankees numbers, I like the Dodgers.
Yeah, I think this is a situation where I don't think you can argue that Garrett Cole is the best pitcher in this series. I don't think it's particularly close. But then when you kind of get past that, Carlos Rodon hasn't been amazing. He's been hit or miss. I think he's been a little more hit than miss lately, but I think if you asked a Yankee fan to give an honest evaluation of Rodon and that contract they gave him, I think they'd ultimately probably not be happy with it, even teetering on the edge of regret giving it to him. Because I don't think he's lived up to the amount of money they gave him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely do think that the Dodgers have a much better bullpen, even at the high end and depth. I think Kopech's probably the best bullpen arm on both these teams. You mentioned Kahnle's having a good job. Luke Weaver's having himself a nice postseason as well. But yeah, there's a lot of guys on the Yankees that, they probably wouldn't even make the Dodgers roster. That's not a knock against the Yankees pitchers. It's more of a testament of how good and deep the Dodgers bullpen is right now. So I do think if the Dodgers can get to that bullpen, they're going to have their opportunities, especially because, we saw this with Emmanuel Clase, right? the Guardians have one of, if not the best closer in baseball. But when they had to see him over and over and over again, he got exposed. He got lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah,
I think that could, even as good as Weaver's been, if the series goes long and we've had, they're going to see him a third time, potentially a fourth time. I think that's where the Dodgers start getting some of that advantage back, where, like we talked about a little bit earlier, I don't necessarily think that the Yankees are going to see Trinan all that much.
Yeah.
Diane Schroeder, really, what about Trinan? His stuff is so gross right now. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
But it's close-ish no matter what. But I don't, I would be shocked if Aaron Judge gets 2 at-bats against Trinan.
Yeah.
That would be I would be surprised if Dave did that. So I think ultimately I like our pitching if you look at the 1 through 13, but I'm not gonna knock Garrett Cole. He's so good. And he just pitched a great game and his last time through the order.
And he's also another guy, been there, done that. He's earned a World Series as a starter for them hated Astros very, very recently. They have some pieces. I'm not knocking the Yankees at all. I saw somebody puppy butt in the chat saying typical Homer hot takes, and I said I'm trying not to be Homerish about it, but I'm looking at Michael Kopech, Blake Trinan, and an Evan Phillips in there, possibly an Alex Vesia back. Those 4 dudes have been disgusting when healthy, when right. Dan Hudson has a World Series closing appearance. He's saved a World Series, in his time. Ryan Brazier, a World Series champion. If Brusdar Graterol ends up in there, World Series champion. If Joe Kelly, don't really know his status, World Series champion. There's a lot of pieces, and nobody has a lot of book on Ben Kasparius. Not a whole lot of book on somebody like a Landon Knack. If he's around, I feel really good about it, but mainly because I'm going to say 2 things. It's those 4 dudes again. Kopech, Trinan, a lot of Trinan in there, by the way, Phillips, and possibly Vesia, and the fact that the Dodgers are the only team between these 2 teams this October that have already played in New York and Los Angeles. I think that's a little bit of something, even though it shouldn't be very much for the Yankees to fly to LA and play in LA weather. But the fact that the Dodgers are already kind of acclimated to that colder East Coast. There's a lot of things I like about it. Dodgers pitchers have already gone through it. And it's not even being a homer. It's just looking at the numbers. Yankees have their bullpen's given up a lot of runs. Not to say the Dodgers bullpen has not given up runs this postseason. But if Tommy Kahnle's their best guy, guess what? He was just in LA a couple years ago. They kind of know the book on Kahnle too.
Yeah. And if you're looking at the starters, the Dodgers have seen Garrett Cole quite a bit.
Yes.
Mookie, Freddie, Kike all have over or above 900 OPS against him, but he kind of owns the rest of them. They haven't seen that much of Rodon, which is interesting because he was a Giant. But Mookie is 1 for 19 lifetime against Carlos Rodon. That's pretty terrifying.
That tracks.
Kike is the most hilarious one. He's 3 for 6 with 3 home runs, all solo shots. It looks like so. If he makes contact, that ball's gone.
That also tracks.
He's got Teoscar's 1 for 9 against a lefty. That's kind of scary. So, all that to say, who knows? Because you get small sample sizes but better numbers, or you get the larger sample size with slightly worse numbers. I think it does help that this isn't a pitching staff they're unfamiliar with. There are a lot of former Dodger guys there. I actually don't know if Caleb Ferguson made the postseason roster.
No, he actually got cut and ended up with the Astros.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not there. What's his name? Victor Gonzalez isn't there anymore. I think only person that's left is not even in the bullpen. It's Alex Verdugo at this point.
Yeah, and then like you mentioned, Tim Hill once upon a time, and but the Dodgers have seen him a lot because he pitched for the Padres for so long. So
a whole lot. It's a long time ago now, but still, I think his last time was 2021 or something like that, maybe even before. he's been around the hill, if you will, a time or two. But again, I feel good about these Dodgers. Puppy Butt 310 also said it there in the chat. I got the Dodgers winning this. May be blind confidence, but I have a belief this team is going to get it done against the Yankees, and I do too. I'm pretty sure Kevin does as well. You guys should feel good. We got a lot more content lined up this week. More Dodgers territory also on the horizon, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you guys are subscribed to all the things here, as Jenny says in the chat right now. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way in helping support the channel and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show today. Stay tuned for that. We got post-game streams coming up. I think we'll be back on Saturday unless I do a Friday post-game. We'll figure it out. Follow me on Twitter to know when we're going live. Follow the at Dodgers, at All Dodgers LA on Twitter as well. I usually post on there when we're doing live, or here on the YouTube community channel, or community page here. But listen, enough talking. Let's just get to baseball. Friday cannot get here soon enough. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the comments, the question. Shout out to the people who left the super chats, not primarily, but a special shout out to Right Field Pavilion. You are amazing. Thank you for the birthday wishes as well. The delayed birthday wishes, or belated, not delayed. that has a bad connotation. Belated birthday wishes. Swellin' Sausage says this is the best channel. I appreciate Swellin' Sausage. Pause. I'll say once again, if you guys are looking for a different way to support me, talk to me more, talk to that guy more on Discord, as well as a bunch of other people you see here on these chats all the time. Check out patreon.com/realfrg, or check out YouTube members here. There's a join button under us somewhere, or to the side of us. It's $5 a month, and with that you get access to our Discord, where we're talking Dodger baseball all day long, and a lot during this World Series run. But Kev, sign us off and give us a bye. Give us your final thoughts and get out of here.
I think Longy Raider said it best. Can't wait. I think that's it. The good old Bart Scott quote. So can't wait. All right, thanks everybody. Bye.
Bye.